Hello, everybody, and welcome to Thoughts by J. Brown segment. Today, we are going to be talking about House Bill 1627 in the Virginia House and why I disagree with Sinatra Says in the article that he reads from. So, let's get into the intro. Okay, so like I said, we're going to be talking about Virginia House Bill 1627 and reading along with it. I want to start first and foremost with my critique of Sinatra Says, and that is, I think that relying on the one story that you do use is a bit hazardous. I think that it is one of those, how do I want to put it? I think you could actually do a little bit better by doing the research into what the actual bill says. The story, the way it reads and the way you read it makes it sound like it is for sure they're coming to attack people's First Amendment rights, which is not exactly true. What we have to look into is what the actual bill says and what the law says that it's pertaining to. So, let me switch over here. As you can see, here's the link. And I also have the link down below in my comments section. I'm not going to play any of the video. Please go over and watch it. Sinatra puts out really great work. But the way he reads it and the way the story reads strikes me as a bit unfair to the actual legislation at hand. So, I'm going to go over to bill, which will also be linked down below. And we have House Bill 1627, a bill to amend and reenact subsections 18.26, 18.26, subsections 18.2-60, 18.2-60.1, 18.2-83, 18.2-152.7:1, and 18.2-430 of the Virginia Code and relating to threats and harassment of certain officials and property, venue. Okay. The first parts of subsection 18.60 says it is threats of death or bodily harm to a person or member of his family, threats of death or bodily injury to persons on school property, threats of death or bodily injury to healthcare providers, penalty, and goes into this, yada, yada, yada. The first change is a prosecution pursuant to this section may be either in the county, city, or town in which the communication was made or received, or in the city of Richmond if people threatened is one of the following officials or employees of the Commonwealth. Again, Virginia's not a state, it's a Commonwealth. So, all right. And then it lists, the governor all the way down to a judge on the Court of Appeals of Virginia. Threats directed at the governor basically adds and says instead of shall be guilty, is. So affirms that they're guilty automatically. 18.2-83, bomb threats, more of the same legalese. B is explaining where the jurisdiction is in regards to city of Richmond. Now, the main focus of the article, and I can see their issue with it, but I do think it's a bit vague. Their issue is this policy, specifically with this section here. If a person with the intent to coerce, intimidate, or harass any person shall use a computer or computer network to communicate obscene, vulgar, profane, lewd, lascivious, lewd, lascivious, or indecent language, or make a suggestion or proposal of an obscene nature, or threaten any illegal or immoral act. And pairing it with the addition of this section talking about the governor. Now, yes, it's already illegal right here for you to threaten the governor or their family. It is also illegal here to any person to make death threats of pretty much anybody. But they're hung up on this word here. And then these words here. Okay? The point of the bill is to retain somebody's honor, to retain somebody from being marred by libel and slander. Okay? With that being said, is it possible that this could be taken out of proportion and any criticism be used against them? Because when I first heard Sinatra Says talking about this bill and this news article, I was thinking, my first thought was back to the Alien Sedition Acts. But as I listened to his video, I realized that I wasn't getting the whole story of what the bill is trying to do. So, let's go into this section. Again, I will read it unabridged here. I will swap out the correction here. If any person with the intent to coerce or intimidate or harass any person, that's not just politicians, that's anyone, shall use a computer or computer network to communicate obscene, vulgar, profane, lewd, lascivious, or indecent language, or make any suggestion or proposal of an obscene nature, or threaten any illegal or immoral act, he is guilty of a Class 1 misdemeanor. A violation of this section may be prosecuted in the jurisdiction in which the communication was made or received, or in the city of Richmond, if the person subject to the act is one of the following officials or employees of the Commonwealth. And again, the same as above, governor, etc., all the way through to a judge of the Court of Appeals of Virginia. Okay. They don't need to add this section of this, honestly, in my opinion. They don't need to add it at all. Because these people here are covered under this section here. And that's where I'll agree with the news story. That's where I'm going to agree with Sinatra Says. This all right here is irrelevant. And it gives the opinion to people that you're trying to take away their First Amendment right to criticize and air their grievances of their politicians. Now, when it comes to grievances and redressing of grievances and criticism, where do we draw the line in what is criticism? Just because I dislike a politician, but I don't have any input onto the policies or reasons why I dislike them other than I just don't like the person, that's not really a valid criticism of someone doing their job as a politician. I don't agree with Trump on a lot of things, but I don't think he's as bad and as deserving of the impeachment as people are trying to tell me he is. I also didn't have too much of an issue with Obama. And yet there's a lot to be said about what he did during his time. So how about instead of worrying about the way the other side's going to get you, instead of worrying about, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't not take these things seriously, but you shouldn't blow them out of proportion, especially when you're not going into reading and understanding what the bill already says. I think that ultimately it comes down to, we need to understand that there are times where criticism becomes harassment. There are times where threats are made against people that need to be handled swiftly by the law. That being said, if somebody were to come up and say, in Virginia right now, much like somebody did in Brighton today for Brexit Day. Substitute Ralph Northrup with Boris Johnson in the thing, and you'd have, Ralph Northrup is a lying dickhead. I wouldn't take that too much as a criticism, and I wouldn't take that as harassment either. I'd just be like, whatever. But if they keep doing it in a place where I'm at constantly, or they keep doing it in a way that is meant to be harassing, I can understand infringing upon that right to an extent. They could be forcibly removed from the venue. They could be forcibly removed from an area, but it doesn't mean that they should be charged with a crime either. Again, I agree with Sinatra on that point. I agree with the article on that point. But framing it in a way that it is a direct attack on the First Amendment is a bit harsh, because all they're doing is they're trying to make sure that people understand that that this goes not just it goes for anybody, not just these people. And by hanging up on this addition rather than focusing on the fact that it is any person, I think does discredit to the reporting on this actual change to the bill. I personally hope this change doesn't pass, because it's not needed. And if you are in Virginia and you are watching this, talk to your members of your House, and talk to members of your Senate if you have one. I can't remember if Virginia does or not. Either way, talk to them and get them to understand that they don't need this. Those people are already covered under the law by the second use of the term, any person. If any person with the intent to coerce, intimidate, or harass any person, they're already covered. End of story. That's where this article should have left it. That's where Sinatra should have left it. Plain and simple. So, with that, thank you. You guys have a wonderful day. Enjoy your time. Hopefully you enjoyed my, what might be the last, might not be the last of my National Popular Vote Compact videos. I hope you enjoyed this one as well. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.